Single mom's last 12 for bread exposed, a heartwarming surprise. CO offers to cover all expenses. Sarah stood at the entrance of Maplewood Grocery, her heart pounding as she clutched the tattered brown wallet containing her last 12. She was determined to buy a loaf of bread, her children's favorite. Mia and Jake loved peanut butter sandwiches, and today, she simply had to make it happen. The sunny day felt heavy on her shoulders, the kind of day that whispered of warmth, but held the weight of her mounting bills and relentless worry. Navigating through the crowded store, her world continued to spin. She dodged a cart filled with organic ingredients, and a couple chatting about their latest vacation to Hawaii. Voices echoed around her, contrasting sharply with the swirling doubts in her mind. Would she be able to provide a stable home for her kids? With every step, anxiety gripped her tighter. She reached the bread aisle, the colorful plastic tags screaming prices. Her cheeks felt flushed as they rose. As she stood in line, she overheard two affluent customers discussing their extravagant dinner plans, their laughter nearly drowned out by the sounds of everyday life. "Can you believe that restaurant on the corner? I hear their lobster is to die for. And the wine pairings, oh my, exquisite," one of them exclaimed. Each word hung in her ears like salt on an open wound, a sharp reminder that Sarah was worlds apart from them, a mere step away from the edge. Finally, it was her turn at the register. "I'm sorry, ma'am," the cashier said, her voice flat as she scanned the bread. "But this coupon for bread has expired." Time around. Sarah froze. The slight crack in her heart felt monumental as despair clawed up her throat. She looked down at her wallet. The numbers faded, just like her hopes. With tears pricking at her eyes, she turned to leave, feeling invisible in a sea of abundance. But then it happened. David, the CEO of the grocery chain, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. He looked at her with genuine empathy. "I know what it's like to feel helpless," he said softly, his voice steady as he shared his childhood story of hardship. "I grew up in a neighborhood much like yours. Every penny counted. But those struggles shaped me." Tears sprung to Sarah's eyes as her heart began to swell. Instead of a mere act of charity, he offered to cover her expenses. "And I want to start a community initiative. We can help families like yours," David added, determination sparking in his gaze. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. This was a shift. Sarah felt a rush of possibility course through her veins. The warmth in her chest was contagious. Within days, news of their encounter spread like wildfire. Conversations erupted in coffee shops and on porches about economic disparity, reflections on resilience and the power of community. Sarah, once burdened by isolation, began gathering her neighbors, turning despair into hope, paving a path for collaboration under David's vision. But questions lingered in the air, thick as the summer haze. Could one act of kindness truly change the paradigm? Would Sarah and her neighbors harness this momentum to uplift one another? Meanwhile, David wrestled with his own privilege and the uncertainties that accompanied his role. Together, they balanced on the edge of transformation, their lives forever intertwined with the hope of an evolving community. What would this partnership reveal? The story was just beginning. In the days that followed, Sarah found her heart swelling with a mixture of excitement and concern. She rallied her neighbors' mothers, fathers, nurses, and teachers, gathering them in her small living room, the warm afternoon light pouring through the windows. They sat on mismatched chairs, some cradling babies in their laps, others leaning against the wall, eyes filled with curiosity. As she shared David's vision of helping families in need, she could feel a spark igniting within the group. "Do you think we can really make a difference?" asked Lisa, a single mother of two, her voice barely above a whisper. Sarah nodded fiercely, determination bright in her eyes. "Absolutely. We have to try. We can start small, maybe a monthly community meal or a clothing swap. Just something to connect us and lighten each other's loads." Hope blossomed in the room, whispers spreading like wildfire. As they discussed ideas, laughter replaced the tension that had once filled Sarah's home. Each voice added layers to their dreams: grocery co-ops, childcare resources, even tutoring for kids struggling in school. With every suggestion, the atmosphere shifted. The air thickened with potential, whispered promises, and a newfound sense of belonging. Meanwhile, David was not idle. Inspired by Sarah's initiative, he began laying the groundwork for the community program. He visited local businesses, sharing his vision and seeking partnerships. It wasn't long before others joined him. Community centers, churches, and local nonprofits were drawn in by the idea of uplifting families in need. The whispers of hope soon echoed through the town, pulling more people into their network. As the days turned into weeks, something beautiful began to take shape. Sarah started organizing a monthly community meal in the park, transforming a simple idea into a larger gathering that brought families together. The aroma of homemade dishes wafted through the air as laughter and chatter filled the wide-open space. Children ran around, and adults sat on blankets, sharing food and stories, their burdens lightened by connection. But just as they began to feel a sense of stability and purpose, clouds rolled in. News of funding cuts loomed over the community initiatives, threatening the very plans they had labored to create. Sarah felt her heart sink. Was the fragile hope they had built about to be swept away? On an especially gray afternoon, Sarah gathered her neighbors once more. "We have faced challenges before, and we can't let this stop us now. We're stronger together. Let us brainstorm how we can keep this going without losing momentum." Voices rose in a supportive chorus, but fear lingered just beneath the surface. They discussed fundraising ideas, selling baked goods, hosting movie nights, and even starting a neighborhood yard sale. The ideas kept bouncing around until the atmosphere felt electric once again. But amidst their plans, Sarah found herself reflecting on David. He had offered not just support, but a partnership. What would happen if he found out about the funding cuts? She worried that he might lose faith in their ability to succeed or feel that the efforts he backed were unraveling. Would they be able to hold on to their dreams long enough to weather this storm? As Sarah looked around at the hopeful faces illuminated by the flickering glow of anticipation, she knew they had to dig deep and fight for the community they'd built. Then the door opened, and in walked David. He had a serious expression on his face. "We need to talk," he said. The weight of his statement hung in the air, and Sarah's heart raced. Had he come with bad news? What could this mean for the futures they had all begun to imagine together? David's face was a canvas painted with unease. The chatter around the room faded into a whisper as he stepped deeper inside, the door creaking behind him. Sarah's stomach fluttered with a rush of anxiety. The faces of her neighbors turned towards David, a silent question lingering in the air. What kind of conversation was about to unfold? "Is it about the funding cuts?" Sarah ventured, her voice striking a balance between hope and fear. David nodded slowly, his gaze dropping to the floor like he was trying to gather his thoughts. "Yeah, it is, and it's a little more complicated than that." He took a deep breath, his hand shoving deep into his pockets as he shifted uncomfortably from one foot to the other. "We are facing a bigger crisis than the funding cuts," he continued, finally meeting Sarah's eyes. "The main organization that supported our initiative is pulling out entirely, and they've decided to redirect their resources elsewhere." Gasps filled the room, a collective inhale that made Sarah's heart race. The energy shifted instantly. shadows of doubt creeping back into the bright atmosphere they had cultivated. She felt her own heart plunge, fighting against the urge to duck her head down as despair brewed within her. What would that mean for our community meals? Lisa asked, her face pale, hope crumbling like old leaves. David ran a hand through his hair, the intensity of his eyes revealing the weight of his words. It means that what we've built together is vulnerable. We might need to consider scaling back, or even stopping. Sarah couldn't bear the thought. Stopping? After everything they started? After the laughter, the connection, the taste of community? No. That can't be. We can't let this happen. We've fought too hard. Sarah erupted, her voice cracking slightly. Her eyes flared with determination, but they also brimmed with unspilled tears. David met her gaze, and for a moment, the room fell silent as the reality loomed heavy above them. Look, he said softly, I don't know what to say. We can look for other donors, work harder to find sustainable support. We just need to come together and make a plan. The hesitation was palpable. Sarah scanned the worried faces of her friends and neighbors. Fear. Frustration. But also, was that a flicker of hope? I get that it's tough, but maybe we can meet the challenge head-on, Sarah suggested, voice steadying. We can reach out to our community for support. People might surprise us. What if we shared our story? Our struggles and successes? We might inspire others. Some nods started to break through the tension. She could feel the flicker of possibility igniting in the room again. Just think, what if a local business wanted to partner with us? Or maybe even a bigger company could step in and help. We can't give up yet. As she spoke, David's expression shifted from uncertainty to acknowledgement. There was a spark of something in his eyes, the flicker of a shared vision. You're right, Sarah. We can't lose sight of what we've started. Let us reach out, and if we come together, we can weather this storm. Hope began to swell again. They started talking about outreach strategies, social media campaigns, local newspapers. The energy soared, fueled by Sarah's unwavering resolve. Just then, there was a knock at the door. It swung open, and the community center director stepped in. There you all are. I heard about your plans, and I think I might have a solution. Sarah's heart raced with curiosity mixed with disbelief. Could it be? She exchanged glances with David, both wearing identical expressions of cautious optimism. They had just begun to imagine a way forward, and suddenly another possibility was knocking. What could this new arrival bring? The room shifted again, the tension mingling with a new thread of curiosity. The community center director, Marissa, was known for her resourcefulness, but as she stepped further in, Sarah could see the excitement radiating from her face. What do you have for us? David asked, leaning forward, eager for news that could shift the tide. I've been speaking with several local businesses and larger organizations, Marissa began, her voice a blend of urgency and enthusiasm. And I think we might have a way to secure not only funding, but also resources that could elevate our community meals. Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline. Really? What do you mean? Marissa glanced at the group before pushing some loose strands of hair behind her ear. There's a new CEO in town, you know, the one from the tech company that just opened. I've heard he's really passionate about giving back to the community. A murmur rippled through the room. Speculation sparked in the atmosphere. David's eyebrows lifted in intrigue, and Sarah could feel her pulse quicken. And you think he might be willing to help us? Marissa nodded, excitement bubbling over. I have an appointment to meet him next week. I want to present our program and showcase what we've accomplished together. But I need your support to make this pitch compelling. David exchanged a look with Sarah, hope lingering in the space between them. What do we need to do? He asked, his voice steady, revealing a newfound certainty. We need stories. I want you all to share your experiences, the impact the meals have had on your lives. We need people to see how much this means to the community, she explained, spreading her arms as if encompassing their shared mission. Sarah's heart soared. We can do that. We actually have so many great stories. People need to know this isn't just about food, it's about coming together, building bonds. Our struggles, our victories, everything. The group began to pulse with energy again, voices rising as stories flowed. There was laughter when Jenny shared how her kids now had friends from different backgrounds, and tears when Lisa recalled the night they served a family that had recently lost their home. Each story wove a little more strength into their tapestry of community spirit. Yet, even as they spoke, a small voice in the back of Sarah's mind whispered caution. What if it wasn't enough? What if the CEO didn't see the value in their stories? But she shoved that thought away. They needed to fight for this together. The din of conversation faded when Marissa raised her hand for attention. Let us finalize our presentation idea tonight. Tomorrow, I'll reach out to some of you for video testimonials. We present the day after. Are you in? A loud chorus of yes filled the air, igniting a flame of determination. As the meeting wound down, Sarah lingered at the edge, her heart swelling with hope. In the midst of struggle, could they actually change the path laid before them? She glanced at David, who was deep in conversation with others, his face animated with excitement. But as the crowd began to disperse, worry nagged at her again. What if he doesn't understand? Just as she turned to leave, David caught her gaze. You're doing great, Sarah. Just remember, whatever happens next, we've got to believe in what we've created. She nodded, but the uncertainty lingered below the surface, weaving through her optimism. Could a single meeting with a stranger truly save her community? As Sarah walked out of the room, a flicker of doubt battled against the hope inside her. The promise of great strides loomed ahead, but so did the fear of crashing down. What would happen when they finally faced the CEO? Would their stories resonate or shatter under scrutiny? The air was thick with anticipation the next morning. As Sarah walked into the community center, her heart raced. Today was the day they would craft their stories, the foundation of their hopes, and she could feel the weight of it all pressing against her chest. Marissa was already there, pacing back and forth, a determined look in her eyes. She turned to Sarah as she entered, her voice steady and encouraging. I know you're nervous, but we can't let that hold us back. This is our chance, Sarah. Nodding, Sarah took a deep breath, trying to swallow down the gnawing doubt. The stories were all she had, but what if they weren't enough? Her thoughts spiraled until she caught the glint of determination in Marissa's eyes. The energy was electric, filling the room with a sense of purpose. One by one, a handful of others trickled in, each bringing their own mix of hope and anxiety. David slid into a chair beside Sarah, a notepad in hand, ready to jot down ideas. Have you thought about what you're going to say? He asked quietly, concern etched on his face. I have some thoughts, she replied. But what if I can't capture it all right? What if the CEO doesn't connect? I really feel like it all hangs on this. David put his hand on hers. A simple gesture, but it sent warmth coursing through her. Then we'll work on it together. You're not alone in this, remember? As the meeting began, Marissa took charge, encouraging everyone to start brainstorming. Voices floated in the air, stories of perseverance, heartbreak, joy, and laughter. Each tale brought the group closer, their shared experiences creating an unbreakable bond. When it was Sarah's turn, her palms turned clammy, but she stood a little taller, squaring her shoulders. I want to share a story about Mrs. Ramirez, she started, her voice trembling slightly. She is a single mom with 2 kids, and she is often the first to help others, despite struggling herself. Last week, she came in with just $12. That is all she had to feed her family for the week. When she heard how much our community meals meant to others, she insisted on donating what she could. Her selflessness just Sarah paused, her throat thick with emotion. It just really hit home. The room fell silent, everyone absorbing the weight of her words. She continued, I think it shows how much we can inspire each other. It's not just about food, it's about love, support, and community. Later, when they reviewed the testimonials, the atmosphere was charged with inspiration. Laughter floated over memories shared, and moments of vulnerability turned into laughter and solidarity. With every story, the vision of what they represented grew bigger. Marissa clapped her hands together suddenly, drawing attention. We've made some amazing progress. But what about visuals? We need to capture the heart of our stories to really convey it. They worked tirelessly, discussing visuals that would elevate the narratives. A montage of faces, the laughter of kids, the smiles of parents, it was a collective memory in the making. But beneath the excitement, Sarah still battled her doubts. As the day wore on, she couldn't shake the feeling that despite their best efforts, it may not translate to the CEO's world. When the meeting wrapped up, and everyone trickled out, David lingered. You really turned those stories into something special today. Thanks, she replied, but the doubt crept back in, whispering an unwelcome tune. What if the CEO doesn't get it? What if my story isn't enough? David tilted his head, his steady eyes meeting hers. What if it is? What if he understands this more than you realize? His words hung in the air, a glimmer of hope mixed with uncertainty. Could that chance actually swing in their favor? Or would the walls of reluctance come tumbling down at the slightest shift? As they headed out, Sarah could feel a knot forming in her stomach. They had one night left to prepare before facing the CEO. And with every minute that ticked away, the question loomed larger in her mind. Was all of this enough to change their lives? The answer felt just out of reach, and yet so tantalizingly close. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the community center as Sarah drove home. Her mind raced with the day's events, replaying each moment like a favorite song stuck on repeat. The ideas they had crafted danced in her head, yet the ever-present weight of doubt clung to her, thicker than the darkness that enveloped the street. As she opened the door to her small apartment, the familiar scent of home greeted her. The quietness felt heavy. It was just her and the rippling thoughts swirling within. She flopped on the couch, pulling out her notebook. The blank pages taunted her. How could she squeeze every ounce of emotion into her presentation tomorrow? Maybe it was time for a late-night pep talk. She picked up her phone, scrolling through messages until she spotted Marissa's number. Can we meet up tonight? I need some support, she typed, pressing send before she could second-guess herself. Minutes felt like hours as she waited. But soon, a reply pinged back. Of course. I'll be there in a bit. When Marissa arrived, Sarah could see her friend was a whirlwind of energy, as always. I brought snacks, she said, holding out a small bag filled with granola bars and some energy drinks. We have to fuel up for the big day. Thanks, Sarah mumbled, forcing a smile as they settled on the couch together. She took a bar and took a bite. It felt almost comforting, the crunch echoing in the stillness. Okay, let us go over your story again. I know it's going to resonate, Marissa said with bright eyes. Ready to dive in. As Sarah began to recount the tale of Mrs. Ramirez, she noticed Marissa's focused expression, her hands moving animatedly as she responded. Each point Sarah emphasized was met with nods and encouragement, lighting a fire of enthusiasm in Sarah's heart. It's not just a story. It's a movement, Marissa added, her voice rising slightly. You're giving a voice to those who feel unheard. The more they spoke, the more Sarah's swirling doubts began to settle. But what if they look at it as just another charity? Sarah murmured, chewing the inside of her cheek. Then you have to show them it's more than that. It's about the human connection, the sacrifice, and the love that binds us, Marissa said fiercely. You need to let them feel it. With new resolve, Sarah put pen to paper, crafting the feelings behind the statistics, the heartwarming moments behind the challenges faced. By the time they finished, the sun had long disappeared, and the stars twinkled through the window. Tomorrow is going to change everything, Sarah. I really believe that, Marissa said, her voice rich with sincerity. The warmth from her friend seeped into Sarah's bones. The nerves were still there, but beneath them lay a flicker of hope. The night wore on with laughter and brainstorming, their energy not drained but instead electric. They worked until their eyelids felt heavy, but Sarah couldn't shake a persistent feeling. They had done well tonight. Later, as Marissa left, Sarah felt a glow of determination. I can do this, she whispered to herself. Yet as the hours slowly ticked away to morning, Sarah wrestled with another thought. What if she got up there and stumbled, unable to connect? The next morning would bring clarity. It would also bring the moment when everything could change. Could she muster the courage to share those raw, unfiltered emotions? As she drifted off to sleep, one question lingered in her mind, like the first hint of dawn at the horizon. What if the CO could truly see them, not just as a community in need but as a family woven tightly by love and support? And would that be enough? Morning light crept into Sarah's apartment, warming the air with promise and possibility. The alarm buzzed, a jarring reminder that today was the day. She rubbed her eyes, pushing thoughts of doubt aside. Today was her chance to make a difference, to speak for those who felt invisible. As she prepared, she moved through her morning routine, like a dance, each step familiar yet infused with a new sense of urgency. Toast popped up from the toaster with a cheerful ding. She buttered it and took a tentative bite, amazed at how the simple act grounded her. With each swallow, she whispered her mantra, "You can do this." On the drive to the community center, her mind replayed the images of the family she had met. The way Mrs. Ramirez spoke of resilience, the laughter of kids running around, their hopeful eyes brightening the dreary moments. A warmth bloomed in her chest. This was her fuel. As she parked, her heart started a frantic drumroll against her ribs. Taking a moment to breathe, she stepped out, the smell of fresh grass and warm asphalt filling her lungs. People filed in around her, chatting, laughing, bringing life to the building. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. The other presenters were giving final touches to their displays, and Sarah noticed a blend of nerves and excitement mirrored in their gazes. Marissa was waiting just inside the door, her face alight with encouragement. "Hey, you've got this," she called, pulling Sarah into a tight hug. "Remember, it's not just about what you say, but how you make them feel. Let your heart shine through." With each pep talk, Sarah's resolve strengthened. They gathered in the spacious room where the presentations would unfold. A long table stretched before her, adorned with colorful posters and props. She took a deep breath, focusing on the faces around her, each one longing to connect, to hear a story that echoed their own. Then it was time. When her name was called, adrenaline surged through her. She stepped up to the podium, the spotlight suddenly warming her skin. With the sea of faces staring intently at her, the doubts flooded back momentarily. What if her voice quivered? What if she fumbled her words? But then she remembered Marissa's words, the emotions buried deep within her. Taking a long, stabilizing breath, she began to share Mrs. Ramirez's story. As she spoke, vivid images painted the room. The struggles, the laughter, the love. Sarah could see the glimmers of recognition on the audience's faces. They were feeling it. The gentle clicks of pens jotting down notes echoed in the silence as her words flowed, painting a tapestry of hope and connection. Once she finished, she stood there, nervous energy transforming into an exhilarating rush. The applause that erupted felt like a warm blanket wrapping around her. With newfound courage, She answered questions, each response growing more fluid. Then something surprising happened. A tall figure stepped forward. The CEO of a major charity organization stood at the forefront, his expression intrigued yet softening. "Sarah, your story has touched me deeply. What you're doing is more than charity. It's about community and family. We want to help in any way we can." Her heart raced, and her breath caught in her throat. What could that possibly mean? She felt all eyes on her, waiting for a response. "Are you serious?" she managed, heart pounding. The CEO nodded, his gaze steady and kind. "Absolutely. We want to cover the costs for your entire initiative. But there are details we need to discuss." Just as the bulbs of hope began to illuminate her future, Sarah's mind raced off in different directions. What would that mean for her community? For the families counting on her? And suddenly, she was on the brink of something bigger than she could have ever dreamed. How would Sarah navigate the unexpected offer? And what would it mean for her mission? The real challenge was just beginning. The room buzzed with excitement, but for Sarah, time seemed to slow. The COS offer hung in the air, heavy with potential. She could hardly comprehend the words, each syllable echoing in her mind. What would it mean for the family she had come to know so well? Thank you. That's incredible," she finally managed, a nervous smile breaking across her face. The murmurs around her shifted, creating an electric atmosphere tinged with hopes and dreams. "Let me assure you, Sarah, this isn't a handout. It's an investment in community," the CEO responded, his voice rich and clear. "Let us find a time to discuss the specifics." She nodded, her head racing with the implications of his words. This was what she had worked so hard for, what she had envisioned during those late-night brainstorming sessions. Together, they could create something lasting. "Quick! Picture this, your program, not just surviving, but thriving," Marissa whispered enthusiastically, standing beside her. "You're about to change lives." Sarah's heart swelled at the thought. Yet, doubt slithered in, uninvited. "But what if I can't deliver? What if I let them down?" Marissa placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "You've already delivered. Every word, every story, it's real, and people feel that. Just take it one step at a time." As the crowd began to disperse, Sarah felt a pang of reluctance. The warmth from the applause lingered, but now there was a sense of urgency to her mission. What came next mattered more than ever. "Sarah, can we grab a quick coffee?" The CEO's voice broke through her thoughts. He motioned for her to join him, and they stepped into a quieter corner of the bustling center. "Here's the thing," he said, leaning in slightly. "I want to ensure you have the tools you need. I've seen what people like you can do when supported properly. You can replicate this across the city, maybe further." She couldn't help but think of all the families who depended on her initiative. This was bigger than one location. It could ripple through the entire community, sparking hope where hopes had almost faded. "What do you mean by tools?" she asked, curiosity piqued. "Operational costs, training, publicity," he replied, his confidence steady. "Most importantly, I want to hear from you. What do you need? I want to make your vision a reality, and I mean it." With each word, her excitement mingled with a growing sense of responsibility. "I think we need workshops for parents. And after-school activities for the kids," she blurted out. The ideas flowed, each one lighting up her imagination. "And we could have guest speakers, people willing to share their stories." "Exactly." He nodded, his enthusiasm infectious. "This is what I'm talking about. A community that understands itself, strength that builds on shared experiences. We can make this happen." They talked more, shaking off the doubts and letting ambition take hold. But deep down, Sarah felt a flicker of fear. With this kind of responsibility, what if she stumbled? What if she lost sight of the very people she was trying to uplift? In that moment, the CEO paused. Just remember, every path to change has its bumps. But that's part of the journey. Enough with the what ifs, you're going to do amazing things. As they wrapped up, Sarah felt a mix of thrill and anxiety coursing through her. The potential was real, and she was finally on the verge of creating meaningful change. But with every new challenge came an even bigger leap of faith. How would she ensure that the essence of the community, the heart of what she was trying to achieve, remained intact? What if her vision distanced her from those she aimed to elevate? The thrill mingled with doubt, an uncertain pulse that promised both excitement and fear. As they parted ways, she held on to the flickering flame of hope in her heart, but doubt lingered like a shadow. Would it all come together, or would she falter under pressure? The moment of truth was approaching, and she had to decide whether to take the risk or retreat into safe obscurity. Sarah stepped into her car, hands trembling slightly. The engine hummed to life, but her thoughts continued to race. The prospect of change loomed ahead, but so did the fear of failure. What did it mean to wield this kind of power? Could she really make a difference? She drove past familiar streets, the sun beginning its descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Every corner seemed to remind her of the families who relied on her program. Faces flashed in her mind, children's laughter ringing out, hopeful parents yearning for a brighter tomorrow. But what if her ideas fell flat? What if this opportunity crumbled under the weight of her ambition? With each passing block, the doubt weighed heavier. What if she hurt the very people she longed to help? She parked near her little apartment, the kitchen light glowing warmly, as a comfort in the evening air. But even home didn't feel like a sanctuary tonight. Sarah? Marissa's voice echoed in her head, a reminder of encouragement just a heartbeat away. You're already doing amazing things. Taking a deep breath, Sarah grabbed her phone and scrolled through her contacts until she found Marissa. When her friend picked up, her energy leapt through the speaker. Hey! What's up? I'm scared, Marissa. This could change everything for so many people. But what if I mess it up? Let us not think like that. You've worked so hard to get to this moment. Start with what you believe. Start with the families. The words resonated, slowly untangling the knots of anxiety in her stomach. You're right. It's not just about me. It's about giving them hope. I'll be with you every step of the way. We're building something bigger than ourselves here, Marissa reassured her. After that conversation, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. She pinned down a list of workshops, activities, and potential partnerships, each idea morphing into an inspiring vision of hope. With every word written, her fears began to melt away, replaced by a simmering excitement. The next morning, Sarah arrived at the community center bright and early. The sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the space filled with the echoes of laughter and conversation. She approached the board of supportive local leaders, her heart racing as she presented her ideas. As she spoke, she noticed the expressions of her audience shift from curiosity to enthusiasm. Each nod and smile ignited a fire within her. This was real. They were with her. After her presentation, the COS presence loomed like a guardian angel in the room. Sarah, he spoke, solid and reassuring, I have your back. Let us work together to make this bigger than either of us dreamed. The anticipation buzzed in the room, creating an electric atmosphere. Everyone rallied around her ideas, and soon the outlines of a community project began to take shape. It wasn't merely about funding. It was about unity, strength, and shared stories. Just as she was starting to feel invincible, her phone buzzed, interrupting her thoughts. A quick glance displayed a message from an unknown number. Sarah, I heard what you're doing. I'd love to help, but you need to meet me. I have an idea that could change everything. Call me. Her heart stopped for a beat. Who was this person? What idea could they possibly be referring to? The weight of uncertainty flooded back, but this time it was laced with intrigue. As hope intertwined with apprehension, she felt propelled towards whatever twist awaited her. Could this be the breakthrough their community needed? Would she discover something that would elevate her vision even further? Sarah took a deep breath, skin tingling with anticipation. The road ahead was unclear, but her heart raced with one undeniable truth: she was on the brink of something big. What new challenge was about to unfold? Who was reaching out, and why? With those questions circling in her mind, she had no choice but to dive deeper into this adventure. The days that followed were a whirlwind of excitement and uncertainty. Sarah could hardly think straight. The anonymous message weighed heavily on her mind, fueled by questions that churned inside her. Who was this person? What kind of game-changing idea could they possibly have? As she navigated her everyday tasks, the energy at the community center surged. Everyone was hopeful, and Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. But she couldn't shake off the nagging curiosity about the unknown benefactor. It consumed her evenings, drowning her in a mix of anticipation and doubt. Finally, after a sleepless night, Sarah decided it was time to take a leap. She dialed the number. "Hello?" A smooth voice answered, warm yet firm. "Is this Sarah?" "Yes. I'm Sarah," she replied, her heart racing. "I'm Alex, and I've been following your community project. I see great potential in it, and I believe I have a plan that could elevate it even further." His enthusiasm poured through the phone, igniting a flicker of excitement in her heart. There's a grant available from a philanthropic organization. They're looking for projects focused on community engagement and resilience. But you need to act quickly. He continued, "The deadline is approaching fast, and I'd love to help you craft a winning proposal." The weight of his words sent a thrill through Sarah. This was the opportunity she had been yearning for. "Yes, I would love that," she responded, urgency flooding her voice. "But I don't know much about writing grants." Alex chuckled lightly. "That's why I'm here. Together, we can highlight the stories, the community spirit. I see the heart behind your work, and I want to help you showcase that." From that moment on, the pair connected regularly. They brainstormed, drew from community testimonials, and painted a vivid narrative that captured the essence of their initiative. Sarah felt the tension shaping into something beautiful, layered with hope and possibility. With Alex's guidance, her vision sharpened, becoming something tangible. They were ready to submit the grant. The day of submission arrived, and Sarah felt both energetic and nervous. The clock was ticking, but they had poured their hearts into this proposal. Would it resonate with the funding committee? Alex sensed her anxiety. "Relax," he said, his calm demeanor a soothing balm. "You've put in amazing work. You're going to inspire them with your passion." The night after they submitted the proposal, Sarah gathered with her community at their monthly meal. As she looked around, she saw familiar faces, mothers helping each other, children laughing, friendships blossoming. She felt a rush of gratitude. A realization dawned on her: the community was not just surviving, it was thriving. In the weeks that followed, life continued, and Sarah focused on the present moments, the small but meaningful interactions, the bonds forming around the table, the stories shared over meals. Then, one surprising afternoon, as she organized chairs for a meeting, her phone buzzed. It was an email from the philanthropic organization. Hard hammering, she opened it. "Congratulations. We are pleased to inform you that your proposal has been selected for funding." The words danced before her eyes, and a warm flood of elation spread through her. She read it again, confirming that it wasn't a dream. They had done it. Cheers erupted from her lips, catching the attention of her neighbors. "We got the grant," she explained, tears welling in her eyes. They embraced, laughter mingling with joyful disbelief. Triumph coursed through the air, turning an ordinary day into an extraordinary celebration. As Sarah turned to face her community, she realized how far they had come together, and how each person had contributed to her journey. The flutters of doubt fell away, replaced with confidence they had all earned. And just as her heart filled with overflowing joy, she turned back to see David step into the celebration. He smiled broadly, but his eyes shimmered with a mix of pride and admiration. "I knew you could do it, Sarah," he said, joining the circle. "This is just the beginning. Together, we can leave a lasting impact." In that moment, beneath a canopy of starlit dreams and combined aspirations, Sarah understood the magic of unity. Her refreshing transformation wasn't just her own, it was theirs, to a family woven together, each thread stronger than ever. With arms outstretched and hearts open, they stepped into the future, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead together. Now is the moment to support this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread hope. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible transformation, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting story. You need to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second.